Okay, so after the publication of El Filibusterismo, ay umalis na si Rizal sa Europe, papunta ng Hong Kong. Where he lived from November 1891 to June 1892. So almost half year, no? So his reasons for leaving Europe were, number one is, okay, sabi niya, life was unbearable in Europe because of his political differences with Marcelo S. del Pilar and other Filipinos in Spain. Yun ang una. And then second reason is to be near his idolized Philippines and family para mapalapit siya sa Pilipinas. Before sailing for Hong Kong, so sinabihan niya si Del Pilar that he was retiring from the political arena in Spain in order to unify among the compatriots and that despite their parting of ways, sabi niya, he had the highest regard for him. Okay. On October 3, 1891, 2 weeks after the publication of the Pili, umalis na si Rizal sa Gent for Paris, where he stayed a few days to say goodbye to the Lunas, the Pardo Taveras, the Venturas, and other friends. So he proceeded by train to Marseilles. And on October 18, he boarded the steamer Melbourne bound for Hong Kong. Okay, so dala-dala niya yung letter ng recommendation na binigay ni Juan Luna para kay Manuel Camus, isang compatriot living in Singapore, and of course mga kopya ng novel niya na El Filibusterismo. So the trip was delightful, sabi ni Rizal. Writing to Blumentritt on October 22, 1891, sabi niya, mula nung umalis siya sa Marseilles, sabi niya, we have had magnificent weather. The sea is calm, fluid like glass, the sky is blue, and air fresh and invigorating. Okay, so sabi niya, it is a heavenly trip. Okay, so farewell to Europe. Ito si Manuel Camus, during that time, he was a student. Mahirap basahin, And was made as a Mason on October 1, 1898. Okay. So yan yung si Manuel Camus, yung pagbibigyan ni Rizal ng letter of recommendation coming from Juan Luna. Okay? So, an incident happened to him while in Melbourne during the trip to Hong Kong. So, isang evening daw at dinner time, the passengers were having their meal at the dining room. And then Rizal, being the only Asian there, was eating alone at one table. So, malapit sa kanya was a bigger table occupied by German ladies. Mga German ladies yung katabi niya na nasa next table niya. So, they were gaily eating and gossiping about the lone Asian. So, pinag-uusapan nila si Rizal, who was quietly taking his meal. So, Rizal, who was fluent in German, understood what the talkative German ladies were saying. Di ba? Magaling si Rizal sa German. And then, but he simply kept silent, letting the ladies enjoy their gossip. So, pinagchichismisan siya ng mga German ladies, akala nila hindi naiintindihan ni Rizal yung mga sinasabi nila. Kasi nga, si Rizal ay hindi naman German. Okay, suddenly, yung steamer na sinasakyan nila ay naka-encounter ng malaking alon. And of course, the door of the dining room was blown open And nobody among those who were busy eating stood up to close the door. So sabi nung lady na mga German ladies, bakit napunta rito? Sabi ng mga German ladies ay kung gentleman yung katabi natin ay isasara niya to. So naririnig ni Rizal yung kanilang conversation. So kaya ang ginawa ni Rizal ay tumayo at isinara yung pinto, no? And then nagsabi siya ron sa mga ladies in German, in fluent German, tungkol do sa sa pag-ano niya ng pinto. So nagulat yung mga German ladies na marunong palang mag-German si Jose Rizal at yung pinagchichismisan nila ay nalaman ni Jose Rizal. Okay. And then next, Rizal arrived in Hong Kong noong November 20, 1891. So he was welcomed by the Filipino residents there, especially yung old friend niya na si Jose Maria Basa. Okay. So he established his residence at number 5, D. Aguilar Street. Andyan ba? Yes. Number 2, Red Naxola Terrace, where he established his medical clinic. So doon siya tumira, no? And then on December 1891, he wrote to his parents asking their permission to return home. So nagpaalam siya, uuwi na ako dyan, sabi niya doon sa kanyang mga parents. On the same date, yung brother-in-law niya na si Manuel T. Hidalgo ay sent him a letter relating the sad news of the deportation of 25 persons. May pinadeport yung mga Spaniards na mga Pilipino from Calamba, including yung father niya, si Neneng Sisa Lucia Pasiano, and the rest of us. So 25 sila na pinadeport. Okay. Hidalgo in his letter was preparing a letter to Queen Regent of Spain explaining the Calamba situation in order to seek justice. Sabi niya, kung hindi tayo papakinggan ng Queen, we will write to Queen Victoria of England, appealing for protection in the name of humanity, sabi ni Hidalgo. So, yung letter na to ni Hidalgo ay nagpapakita ng despair and sorrow of the Rizal family. So, Dr. Rizal in Hong Kong, napakalapit na sa Manila, ay of course, he was desperately sad. For he could not help his persecuted family and relatives. And then, before Christmas of 1891, he was gladdened by the arrival of his father and brother. And of course, itong si Silvestre Ubaldo, brother-in-law niya todo sa Hong Kong. And not long afterwards, ay sumunod yung kanyang mother at saka yung kanyang sister na si Lucia, si Josepa, and of course, and also Trinidad. So his mother, who was then 65 years old, matanda na, and was almost blind, nabubulag na, she had suffered so much from Spanish brutality and injustice. And the year before, noong 1890, ay na-aresto nga siya dahil doon sa charge that she was not using her surname Realonda. So ganun kalulupit ang mga Spaniards. Hindi lang niya ginagamit yung surname na Realonda, inaresto na naman itong kanyang mother. Okay, kung natatandaan nyo, ay inaresto itong si mother niya on the grounds na nilalason daw yung kanyang sister-in-law. So yun, naaresto na naman pala dahil hindi niya ginagamit yung surname niya na Realonda. And of course, may edad na siya at nabubulag pa. So she was forced by a cruel Spanish officer of the Guardia Civil to walk from Calamba to Santa Cruz again. Fortunately, the Spanish governor of Laguna, who happened to be a gallant cavalier, pitied her, naawa sa kanya, and set her free. Okay? So yung Christmas of 1891 in Hong Kong ay napakasaya, no, para kay Jose Rizal. Kasi nagkasama-sama sila ng kanyang mga kapamilya, ano? Nagkaroon sila ng happy family reunion there in Hong Kong. On January 31, 1892, he wrote to Blumentritt recounting their pleasant life in Hong Kong. Ano? So sinabi niya raw na nandito kami lahat sa Hong Kong. Yung parents ko, sister and brother-in-law in peace and far from the persecutions they suffered in the Philippines. They are very much with the thankful with to the English government because during that time Hong Kong was under the British Empire or it is one of the British colony. Okay. And then to earn a living para kumita siya for himself and for his family there, so nag-practice siya ng medicine doon sa Hong Kong. Okay, isang Portuguese physician by the name of Dr. Lorenzo P. Marquez, who became his friend and admirer, helped him to build up a wide clientele. In recognition of Rizal's skill as an ophthalmic surgeon, he turned over to him at sinabi niya, in due time, sabi niya, Dr. Rizal became a successful and well-known medical practitioner in the British colony. So marami siyang mga naging pasyente doon, including mga British, mga Portuguese, mga Americans, ano? Okay. So, at habang nasa Hong Kong, inoperahan niya doon yung kanyang mother, yung left eye ng kanyang mother so that she was able to read and write again. And aside from fixing an eye, being an eye specialist, he was a general practitioner also. Okay, so writing to Blumentritt, sabi niya, so here I practice as a doctor and I have here many sick of influenza because there is an epidemic. Okay. So through the newspaper, I have informed that this sickness is also causing ravages in Europe. Letter niya to kay Blumentritt. Ano? And I hope you and your esteemed family will be spared. Okay, so sabi niya, in our house, my mother, my brother-in-law, and one of my sisters are sick. Okay. And then next. So through the newspaper, okay, ano na to, na doble. So some friends of Rizal na nandoon sa Europe ay binigyan siya ng moral support. And of course, mga substantial aid in his medical practice. Ano? From Biarritz, si Mr. Busted, yung father ni Nelly Busted, wrote to him, praising him for practicing his medical profession. And then another one, Dr. Ariston Bautista Lin from Paris, sent him a congratulatory letter and a book on diagnostic pathology by Dr. Virchow and another medical doctor, a book, entitled Diagnostic by Mesnikscu by Don Antonio Berhel de Dios, also from Paris. No. Ang pangalan ng book ay Diagnostic by Mesnikscu. Kahirap pronounce. And then another person by the name of Don Antonio Berhel de Dios, also from Paris, offered him services for the purchase of medical books and instruments which he might need in his profession. Okay. So Rizal possessed the qualities of great ophthalmic surgeon. Actually, kung idinibot niya yung kanyang buong lifetime sa pagpapractice ng medicine, baka siya ay isa siyang naging pinakamagaling sa buong Asia, no, na ophthalmologist. So, in the words of Dr. Jimeniano de Ocampo, isa siyang distinguished Filipino ophthalmologist, sabi niya, Rizal had the qualities that would make an ideal ophthalmic surgeon, a keen and analytical intellect, lightness of touch, and artistry of a painter, courage and humility. Okay, a broad and deep knowledge of medicine and ophthalmology. And last but not the least, he had been adequately trained by master ophthalmic surgeons. Okay. Borneo Colonization Project. Okay, so in the face of the bleak outlook of the Calamba Fox, under Governor Valeriano Weyler, Rizal proposed the establishment of a Filipino community in North Borneo or yung Sabah ngayon. Actually, as of now, ay meron pa tayong claim sa Sabah. Sinasabi na natin na yung Sabah ay parte ng Pilipinas. Kasi yung Sabah ay pag-aari ng isang sultan na taga Mindanao. No? Ibig sabihin, kung pag-aari ng Pilipinong sultan na taga Mindanao, ay atin din yung Sabah. So actually, as of now, ay pinag-uusapan pa yung tungkol dito. So, dito sa Borneo Colonization Project, he planned to move the landless Filipino doon sa Borneo, no? Para doon sila mamuhay uli kasi marami ang na-dispossess ng mga Pilipinos, binawi ng mga Dominicans, yung mga lupang sinasaka nila. Kaya naghihirap. Kaya ang sabi niya, ang proposal niya kay Valeriano Weyler ay nagtatayo siya ng isang Filipino community nga sa North Borneo at doon niya tatawagin itong New Calamba. Doon dadalhin yung mga walang lupain na sinasaka ng mga taga-Calamba. Okay. So, on March 7, 1982, he went to Sandakan on board the ship Menon. Okay, to negotiate with the British authorities for the establishment of a Filipino colony. He looked over the land up the Bengkoka River in Marado Bay, which was offered by the British North Borneo Company. So yung mission niya ay successful. Pumayag yung British authorities who were willing to give the Filipino colonists 100,000 acres of land, isang napakagandang harbor and a good government for years free of all charges. No? Walang bayan. Okay, kaya nga by April 20, he was back in Hong Kong. No? So tuwan-tuwa siya dahil pumayag yung mga British. Okay, so ayun, ano? And then yung mga kaibigan ni Rizal sa Europe, sila Juan Luna, Antonio Luna, sila Lopez Haina, sila Blumentritt, si Dr. Bautista Lin ay napaka-enthusiastic, ano? They about his Borneo colonization project. Sabi nga ni Lopez Haina, okay, so he expressed his desire to join the colony. Doon na lang daw titira. Si Graciano Lopez Haina, sabi niya, writing to Rizal noong May 26, 1892, sabi niya, I have a great desire of joining you. Ano? So sabi niya, ipag-reserva mo ko ng isang piece of land where I can plant sugarcane. Sabi niya, I shall go there to dedicate myself to the cultivation of sugarcane and the making of sugar, of course. So send me further details, sabi niya. Okay? So ayun. So yung New Hope ni Rizal for realizing his Borneo project ay parang magkakaroon ng katuparan. But but of course, itong si Valeriano Weyler na Governor General ng Pilipinas during that time, okay, was biglang napalitan, relieve of his gubernatorial office, at pumalit itong bagong Governor General na si Eulogio Despujol, no? At announced to the Filipino people a fine program of government. So sa paniniwala naman na si Despujol was sincere doon sa kanyang promises of a better government, Rizal sent him a letter of felicitation and offering his cooperation. So the Governor General, violating the simple rule of Spanish courtesy, hindi man lang in-acknowledge yung receipt ng letter na yun ni Rizal. Okay, after vainly waiting for 3 months for a reply to his letter, Rizal wrote a second letter. Okay, and binigay niya uli ito kay Governor Despujol. Doon sa second letter na to, he requested the Governor General to permit the landless Filipinos to establish themselves in Borneo. Once more, Despujol did not give Rizal the courtesy of reply. Hindi naman siya sinagot. Instead, he notified the Spanish Consul General in Hong Kong to tell Rizal that he could not approve the Filipino immigration to Borneo. So ayun, hindi pumayag itong si Eulogio Despujol tungkol doon sa Borneo colonization project ni Jose Rizal. Although pumayag na yung mga British, binibigyan na nga sila, di ba, ng lupa doon. Okay, and then notwithstanding the pressure of his medical practice and his Borneo colonization project, pinagpatuloy ni Rizal yung kanyang pagsusulat. Sinulat niya doon yung isang article. Ang title ay Mga Karapatan ng Tao. It is the Tagalog translation of the Rights of Man proclaimed by the French Revolution in 1789. About the same time, isinulat na naman niya yung A la Nación Española, which is about Spain's righting the wrongs done to the Calamba tenants. And then another proclamation entitled Sa Mga Kababayan, to My Countrymen. It was written in December 1891, explaining the Calamba agrarian situation. Rizal contributed articles to the British Daily Hong Kong Telegraph, whose editor, Mr. Fraser Smith, was his friend. Okay. So copies of this newspaper entered the Philippines so that the Filipino people were able to read Rizal's articles. Okay, makinig kayo at may quiz kayo mamaya. Pakigising mga yung natutulog. Hindi kayo nakikinig, ha? Sige, magpo-quiz tayo mamaya. Okay, next. So, okay, so the most important writing made by Rizal during his Hong Kong sojourn was the Constitution of the Liga Pilipina. Okay, so balak niya magtayo ng isang association sa Pilipinas. Ang magiging pangalan nito ay La Liga Pilipina. So the idea of establishing the Liga Pilipina, okay, ito ay isang association of patriotic Filipinos, was originally conceived by Jose Maria Basa, but it was Rizal who wrote its constitution and of course realized its establishment. Okay. So yung copies ng printed Liga Constitution were sent by Rizal to Domingo Franco na kaibigan niya sa Manila. Okay. So Okay, so in May 1892, Rizal, upon his return to Manila, okay, so nag-decision si Rizal to return to Manila. Ano? Uh, okay, before that, there was an attack by Eduardo Delete, ano? Isang article which was printed in La Solidaridad in April 15, 1892. So it portrayed Rizal as coward. Tuwag daw si Rizal, makasarili at opportunistic. Of course, Rizal vehemently protested to Del Pilar. Bakit kailangan i-publish nyo yung ganyang klase ng mga article? Sabi niya kay Del Pilar. Na during the time ay siya na yung editor ng La Solidaridad, di ba? So sabi niya, I am more convinced that Delete in his writing the article was hasty, masyadong hindi nag-iisip. And then you permitted yourself to be published, ano? Pinayagan mong ma-publish ito sa La Solidaridad. Okay. So sabi niya, friend or enemy, if the article has harmed me, it would harm more the interest of the Filipinos. Who knows? Sabi niya, however, after all, it was for the best. Okay. So ayun yung pangyayari, ano? And then, Chapter 21 na tayo, Second Homecoming and the Liga Pilipina. Okay, so ito yung mga Okay, so Rizal's bold return to Manila in June 1892 was his second homecoming. Pangalawang pag-uwi niya to. Yung unang homecoming niya from abroad ay noong August 1887. So it marked his re-entry into the Hazardous campaign for reforms. He firmly believed that the fight for Filipino liberties has assumed a new phase. So sabi niya, it must be fought in the Philippines, not in Europe, no? Not in Spain. So iba na ang labanan ngayon, sabi niya. Ang battlefield ay nasa Pilipinas na. Okay, yun ang sabi niya sa mga countrymen niya in Europe. So sabi niya, doon tayo magkita-kita, sabi niya. Doon tayo magtulong-tulong. Okay, so there together we will suffer or triumph perhaps, sabi niya. So yun na. And then 2 months later, no, December 31, 1891, he reiterated his belief in a letter to Blumentritt. Sabi niya kay Blumentritt, naniniwala ako na yung La Solidaridad is no longer our battlefield. Now it is a new struggle. Sabi niya, the fight is no longer in Madrid. Kaya uuwi na ako upang pamunuan ang bagong reform movement. Okay. And then, at noong June 26, 1892, Rizal and his widowed sister Lucia, ito yung wife ni Mariano Herbosa. Ito yung si Mariano Herbosa, kung natatandaan nyo, ito yung namatay na hindi pinayagang ipasok sa simbahan ng mga Espanyol dahil kapamilya ni Jose Rizal. Okay. Okay, so i-describe ni Rizal yung kanyang second homecoming. No? So ito yung kanyang description ng kanyang homecoming. So sabi niya, I arrived at Manila on June 26, Sunday, 12 noon. Sinalubong siya ng maraming sundalo headed by a major. And then there is one captain, no? And one sergeant of the veteran civil guard. And then I came down with my luggage and they inspected me at the custom house. So in-inspection yung kanyang mga gamit. And then from there, nagtuloy na siya sa Hotel de Oriente where he occupied room number 22 facing the Church of Binondo. And in afternoon at 4 o'clock, pumunta na siya sa Malacanang Palace para makausap itong si General Eulogio Despujol, Conde de Caspe. Pero sinabihan siya na bumalik na lang ng alas 7 ng gabi, no? Kaya nung 7 p.m. bumalik siya sa Malacanang at yun, he was able to confirm or to talk with Governor Despuol na who agreed to pardon his father but not the rest of the family. Take note yung father niya tsaka yung ibang mga kapatid niya ay ipinadeport. Diba? Ni Valeriano Weyler. So kaya nga nakikipag-usap siya rito, yung pumalit si General Despuol na kung maaari patawarin na yung kanyang mga kapamilya. So itong si Despuol pumayag na patawarin yung kanyang father but not the rest of the family. And then sinabihan siya na sige bumalik ka na lang sa Wednesday, no? Okay, so after his brief interview with the Governor General, bumisita siya sa mga kapatid niya na nandoon sa city. Una kay Narcisa and later kay Saturnina. At 6 p.m. of the following day, June 27, Rizal boarded a train sa Tutuban Station and visited his friends in Malolos, Bulacan, San Fernando, Pampanga, Tarlac, and Bacolor, Pampanga. Okay, so he was welcomed and of course lavishly entertained sa bahay ng mga kaibigan niya na to, no? So itong mga kaibigan niya na to ay mga patriots din, no? Who were supporters in the Reform Crusade. And he took the opportunity to greet them personally and discuss the problems affecting the people. And then by 5 p.m., he returned to Manila by train the next day. Whether he knew it or not, he was shadowed by government spies. Kahit saan siya magpunta, may sumusunod sa kanyang espiya. Tinitingnan lahat ng movement niya. And then, yung mga bahay na kanyang binisita, after nung makaalis siya, ay ni-raid na kaagad ng mga Spaniards, no? Ng mga Guardia Civil. At nakitaan sila ng mga kopya ng Noli and Pili at saka mga subversive pamphlets, no? So, ibig sabihin, yung pagkabisita ni Rizal sa kanyang mga kaibigan ay nakasama pa. Okay? And then, nung Wednesday, nakipagkita uli siya kay Governor Despuol. So sabi niya, he did not succeed to have the penalty of exile lifted, but he gave me hope with regard to my sisters, as it was the feast of St. Peter and St. Paul. Pinag-usapan din nila yung tungkol sa Borneo colonization project. Of course, the general opposed it. Ayaw ng general, no? And then sinabihan si Rizal na bumalik sa Sunday naman. Okay, so Sunday, bumalik siya. At okay, so we talk about handwriting, sabi niya. And I thank him for having lifted the exile of my sister. So finally, tinanggal na rin yung exile ng kanyang mga sisters, kaya nakabalik na sila sa kanilang tirahan, sa kanilang bahay. And then sinabihan siya ni Despuol kung gusto niya bang bumalik sa Hong Kong, you know? And sabi niya, of course, yes. Okay, so sabi niya, bumalik ka ng Wednesday. Okay, ito yung kanilang conversation ni Governor General Despuol. Okay, so and then on the evening of Sunday, July 3, 1892, okay, following his interview with Governor General Despuol, Rizal attended a meeting of the Patriots. Nakipag-meeting siya sa mga Pilipinong Patriots at the home of Chinese-Filipino mestizo Doroteo Onghunco. Okay. Ilaya Street, Tondo, Manila, yung bahay. Ayun. Kasama doon sa meeting, sila Pedro Serrano Lactao, also known as Panday Pira, isang mason din at isang school teacher. And then si Domingo Franco, another mason, and tobacco shopkeeper. And then another, Jose A. Ramos, isang printer, engraver, owner ng bazaar. And then Ambrosio Salvador, Gobernadorcillo of Quiapo, mayor ng Quiapo, and isa ring Mason. And then another one, Bonifacio Arevalo, isang dentista at isa ring Mason. Okay, kung titingnan nyo, yung nakipag-meeting na to, yung meeting na to ay meeting ng mga Mason talaga. Okay, kaya nga, nung mabuo yung La Liga Pilipina, ay yung kanilang pinakasaligang batas ay nakabase doon sa saligang batas ng mga Mason. Okay. Marami pang iba na mga puro Mason sila na nag-meeting doon. Asan? Si Rizal ay nando doon sa gawing putol ito eh. Okay, itong mahaba ang bigote si si Antonio Luna yan. Si Rizal ay yung nakatayo sa gawing kaliwa, ay gawing yung nakagitna. Okay, malabo yung picture eh. Yung nakagitna. Okay. Next. Ito yung objectives of the Liga. Isa itong Civic League of Filipinos which he decided to establish at ang magiging role nito ay may kinalaman sa socio-economic life of the people. Okay, ibig sabihin kaunlaran sa hanap buhay ng mga tao. Okay, mga officers of the new league, ito yung mga director. Of course, Rizal was the founder, Ambrosio Salvador, president, Agustin de la Rosa, fiscal, Bonifacio Arevalo, treasurer, Diodato Arellano, secretary, and first supreme leader of Katipunan. Okay? Okay, and then si Domingo Franco, president and supreme leader, Diodato Arellano, secretary, treasurer. What is that? Si Isidro, hindi ko mabasa. And si Apolinario Mabini, ang treasurer. Okay. So ayan yung kanilang La Liga Pilipina or the Philippine League in English. Na-send ko na sa inyo itong PowerPoint na to. Send ko mamaya. Para may ma-review kayo and then quiz tayo mamaya. Kaya makinig. So, the aims of the Liga Pilipina as embodied in its constitution were the following. Okay, to unite the archipelago into one compact and homogeneous body. Okay. So, dapat daw, para daw lahat ng mga mamamayan ng Pilipinas ay magkaisa. And then multi-protection, mutual protection in every want and necessity. So yun daw, bawat isa dapat ay magkaroon ng mutual protection. Kung may nangangailangan, tutulungan. Yun ang isa sa mga aims ng Liga Pilipina. And of course, defense against all violence and injustice. And another one, encourage of education, agriculture and commerce, and study of application and reforms. Ang motto nila, Uno Instar Omnium, one like all, in English. Okay. The duties of the Liga Pilipina. Okay, so number 1, dapat daw ay susundin lagi yung Supreme Court, Supreme Leader to, no? And then to help in recruiting new members, dapat daw tumulong sa pagre-recruit ng mga miyembro para dumami ang mga kasapi. And then to keep in strictest secrecy the decisions of the legal authorities. So kung ano man ang napag-usapan daw sa mga meeting, dapat ay hindi makakalabas sa hindi miyembro. And then to have a symbolic name which he cannot change until he becomes president of the council. Okay, and then to report to the fiscal anything that he may hear which affects the Liga. No? So lahat daw ng maririnig na makakaapekto doon sa kanilang asosasyon ay dapat i-report. Okay, and then to behave well and benefits a good Filipino. And to help fellow members in all ways. Okay, so yun na nga. So on Wednesday, July 6, Rizal went to Malacanang Palace to resume his series of interviews with the Governor General. During this interview, Governor General Despujol suddenly showed him some printed leaflets. May pinakitang mga leaflets. Na yun daw mga leaflets na yon ay nakuha doon sa pillowcase ni Lucia. Nung dumating sila sa di ba? Sinalubong sila ng mga sundalo, tinalubog yung kanilang mga gamit. No? So nakitaan daw ng mga leaflets na yon. Now, itong incriminatory leaflets na to, ang title nito ay Pobres Frailes or Poor Friars under the authorship of Father Jacinto. No? So parang sinasatire yung mga Dominican friars, no? Na nagkakamal daw ng napakaraming kayamanan contrary to their monastic vow of poverty. Of course, Rizal denied it vigorously. Wala naman daw mga leaflets na gano'n na nakuha sa kanilang baggage. At yun naman daw mga baggage nila ay thoroughly searched upon their arrival from Hong Kong by the custom authorities. At wala naman nakita. Bakit biglang meron daw nakita na ganito? So despite his denial, and then nagdemand siya for investigation with due process of law, he was under arrest. Inaresto na siya agad at ikinulong na sa Port Santiago by Ramon Despujol. No? Pamangkin ito ni Governor General Despujol. Okay. So yun ang nangyari, nakitaan siya ng mga leaflets na pinipintasan yung mga fraile. At because of that, ay pinaaresto na siya kaagad. No? At dinala sa Port Santiago. Okay, so the following day, it was in July, July 7. Yung Gaceta de Manila published the story of Rizal's arrest, which caused indignant commotion among the Filipino people, particularly yung mga members of the newly organized Liga Pilipina. Okay, so yun, nagkaroon na ng at itong si Governor General Despujol ay nagbaba ng isang decree na sinasabi na si Rizal ay i-deport in one of the islands in the south. No? Okay, so yun, yung decree na yun, ito yung may kinalaman, kaya siya ay na-exile sa Dapitan. Dahil nahulihan daw sila ng mga leaflets na pinipintasan yung mga pare. Titingnan natin kung ano yung, nakikita nyo kung ano yung influensya ng church doon sa government, sa state, di ba? Ng mga panahon ni Rizal. Ang nasusunod ay yung mga pare, hindi yung mga governor generals. Pag sinabi ng mga pare na bitayin yan, bibitayin. Okay? Okay, ito yung mga reasons. Okay, number 1, kasi daw ay nagpapublish ng books and articles abroad si Jose Rizal na nagpapakita ng disloyalty sa Spain. No? At mga anti-Catholic daw ito and prudently anti-friar. Okay. So yun yung isa sa mga reason ni Despujol kaya pinapatapon na si Jose Rizal. Okay, and then pangalawa, nakitaan nga daw nung tinatawag na pamphlet na ang title ay Pobres Frailes. And pangatlo, yung novel daw niya na El Filibusterismo was dedicated to the memory of the three traitors, yung Gombursa. Ano? Yes. And then the end to which he pursues his effort and writings is to tear from the loyal Filipino breast the treasures of our Catholic faith. Okay, so si Rizal daw, ang magiging dahilan kung bakit may mga Pilipinong hindi na naniniwala sa simbahan. Okay. So, ayun na. Dito si Rizal sa Dapitan, nakikita niyo yung kulay red na yon. Okay, so malapit sa Zamboanga. Actually, nasa Zamboanga del Norte. Parte ng Zamboanga del Norte. Okay, so tabing dagat siya. So, ayun, dinala na si Rizal under heavy guard to the steamer Cebu. Okay, ang pangalan ng ship ay Cebu, which was sailing to Dapitan. Ang captain ay si Captain Delgras, departed sailing south, passing Mindoro and Panay. And then by July 17, nakarating na sila sa Dapitan, alas 7 ng gabi. At Captain Delgras handed Rizal over to Captain Ricardo Carnicero. Tatandaan niyo mga pangalan na yan. Siya yung Spanish commandant of Dapitan. The same night. Ano? So kaya nga, noong July 17, noon nag-umpisa ng exile sa Dapitan si Jose Rizal, at which would last until July 31, 1896. A period of 4 years. 4 na taon siyang na-exile sa Dapitan. Okay, so exile in Dapitan, 1892 to 1896. So Rizal lived in exile in faraway Dapitan, isang remote town in Mindanao, which was under the missionary jurisdictions of the Jesuits from 1892 to 1896. 4 years. So this 4 years was tediously unexciting but was abundantly fruitful with varied achievements. Marami namang ginawa si Jose Rizal doon. Nag-practice siya doon ng medicine. Pinagpatuloy niya yung kanyang mga scientific studies at tinuloy din niya yung kanyang artistic and literary works. Nagsulat din siya ron. Kaya napalawak niya yung kanyang knowledge of languages at nagtayo din siya ron ng isang school for boys and promoted community development projects. Naka-invento pa nga siya doon ng isang wooden machine for making bricks, panggawa ng hollow blocks. At nagsaka siya doon at nag-commerce din. So despite these activities, he kept an extensive correspondence with his family and relatives, mga fellow reformists, mga scientists and scholars of Europe, katulad nila Blumentritt, nila Reinhold Ross. Okay. Okay, beginning of exile in Dapitan.